So that was all I was going to do on means testing for today. Um, what I wanted to do just before we finish for the afternoon, I'm going to lie down after spending an hour talking about means testing, is talk about the DFG quality mark, which we will be introducing in full at the upcoming roadshows. So, as with anything, um, if you kind of look at anything from A level results to kind of football matches to DFG performance, they always follow a normal distribution. That's kind of something a bit like this. So you kind of get um, half or kind of above median that kind of below average. Then you get another half that kind of by definition above average, and you always get kind of 10 to 20% that are kind of performing much better than the rest. You always get kind of 10 to 20% that are performing much poorer than the rest, and then the other kind of 60 odd % are somewhere in the middle, and that kind of applies to pretty much anything, which is why it's called the normal distribution. And if you look at DFG data that comes in through the Delta survey, it's no different. So, for instance, if we looked at how much of their allocation local authorities were spending, then this is the kind of graph you get. So, from a few that aren't spending very much of it, a few that are spending kind of 150% plus of it, and most are kind of somewhere in the middle. And equally with delivery time, so looking at stages 2, 3, and 4 of the DFG process. So after the kind of the OT assessment through to completion of works, the distribution of that is from kind of less than 100 days to over 500 days. The median is 223 days, and based on the good practice guidance, it kind of for most cases it talks about 130 days. So you can see that just under kind of 20% of local authorities are regularly hitting that target in terms of performance, which kind of shows you that kind of following the normal distribution route. Some local authorities are kind of really spending all the money, really doing really well, doing things quickly. There are some that are struggling to spend all the money and are kind of taking what's that, kind of 2 years on average to get jobs done. And most are somewhere in the middle around this kind of 223 working days, where it gets about a year. So what we've been working on developing is the DFG quality mark, to put together a national standard for how DFGs are kind of delivered through the system. And the idea is that we're going to launch this dedicated quality mark, and I'm going to talk through what it is, how it works, how it will help local authorities, providers, and residents. How we're going to get involved, or how you can get involved with the consultation and kind of pilot phases of this, and how we can support you on the journey. And the idea is to build a consistent, trusted, and high quality DFG service across the country. So we're launching it in kind of recognition that the profile of DFG is continuing to increase. Hopefully you saw the good news over the weekend that the Minister for State for Health and Social Care announced an additional £50 million for DFGs in this current financial year. So that money will be coming out, and details of the actual allocations from MHCLG very, very shortly. But as you can see, I think that's the third time in 4 years additional funding has been found within year, as well as regular increases to the total pot as well. So I think that shows that it's an important government policy, but with that come expectations on speed and kind of quality of delivery. And as I've shown you on those kind of previous couple of charts, that there is quite a wide variation between areas that are performing really, really well, and then the kind of few areas that are struggling a bit with that delivery. And the idea is that disabled people across the country should have a fairly more fair and consistent service everywhere. So we've been developing this national standard for DFG services, and at this point, it focuses on stages 2 to 4 of the process. So that's after the OT assessment in kind of the typical process, so that it applies equally to all 294 housing authorities. And kind of the plan is that once local government reorganisation has settled and we have unitary authorities across the country, that we can then more easily incorporate kind of stage 1 within that standard. So for high performers, it will give a badge that recognises the kind of quality of the service that they're providing. And for others, whether they're kind of in the middle or further down the kind of performance chart, the idea is to give you kind of a clear view of what needs improving, what to prioritise in terms of change, and alongside that will be ongoing support from foundations to do that. And it's been designed and or developed. It's got 75 elements in it, 75 things that we think a strong DFG service will include, based on 8 themes. And we try to keep the language simple. We try to keep it clear and practical. And for each one, we've tried to make it so that it's quite objective in terms of the way that you can assess it. So it's something that you do or something that you don't. It's not, hopefully not kind of a grey thing where you kind of have to think, well, do I or don't I? We try to make it quite objective as we go through it. So what we're going to do at the roadshow, we've made packs of cards. So each card has one of the 75 requirements of means test. Sorry, not the means test. I've got means test on the brain now. So one of the 75 requirements of the quality mark. And these are just kind of a sample of them. And you see they cover 8 different areas. So kind of from public information, contractors and procurement, through agency services, whether you've got a housing assistance policy, for example. And each one is either a must do, a should do, or a could do. So you can help with prioritisation. And the idea is that each card then has the description separately. So you can judge each card on its own merits, and kind of on the table in front of you start to work out which ones you do, which ones you don't do, and then kind of prioritise them as must do, should do's, or could do's. So we think that's quite a neat way to kind of understand what each of the requirements are, and we're going to be looking for kind of feedback on whether we've got the right requirements, whether they're at the right level in terms of must do, should do, and could do, and also we're kind of then going to be moving on to thinking about what evidence would we ask for if you wanted to kind of get the badge certified. So as part of the roadshows, we'll be reviewing the framework, testing the 75 elements, getting your feedback, and helping to shape the next version that will then be kind of piloted with some kind of pilot sites across the country, hopefully later this year. So everybody that comes to one of the roadshows will receive a pack of these cards to help us with that consultation. And I say we'll also be looking for a small group of councils to test the framework. Most, I think, at that stage will be around looking at what the evidence requirements are, so we can make it as kind of least onerous as possible in terms of submitting the evidence, and we can then also kind of help update the guidance on how it will be used. So if you haven't already, please do come along to, or if you haven't booked a ticket for the roadshow yet, and I say there's a few left, particularly for Bristol and London, and we've got we always have a waiting list and try and release as many tickets as we can. So come to the roadshow, play with the cards, share your views, and consider joining the pilot. And we're kind of here for you all the way in terms of our regional advisors, training, consultancy, tools and guidance, and ongoing improvement and support. So I think we've covered a lot there today, haven't we? I think this is the Foundations Live where I've spoke the most ever. So hopefully you found that useful.